The train station buzzed with a nervous energy. People rushed to catch their trains, their faces etched with worry. Some clutched briefcases, others dragged heavy suitcases. A young woman nervously checked her watch while a businessman barked into his phone. Even the air seemed thick with stress. Lost in the sea of hurried footsteps and anxious glances, few noticed the worn, slightly out-of-tune public piano tucked away in a corner. It sat silently, waiting for someone to bring it to life. The keys were dusty, and a few were chipped. It had been a long time since anyone had played a song on the old piano. It sat there, a silent observer of the daily chaos, a forgotten relic in the modern rush. Little did they know a melody was about to change everything. A melody that would soon bring tears to their eyes. Amidst the chaos, a man approached the forgotten piano. He was dressed in simple clothes, a faded blue jacket, worn jeans, and scuffed brown shoes. He looked like any other traveler, perhaps a little more tired. His hair was slightly messy and his face held a quiet sadness. He certainly didn't look like a millionaire. He paused for a moment, observing the instrument as if contemplating a great decision. He ran a hand over the dusty keys, a ghost of a smile playing on his lips. Then, with a sigh that seemed to carry the weight of the world, he sat down on the piano bench. His presence went largely unnoticed, another face in the crowd, another soul lost in the daily grind. But soon that would change. The man settled onto the bench, adjusting his posture slightly. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes for a moment as if gathering his thoughts. Around him, the station remained oblivious. People rushed past, talking loudly on their phones, dragging luggage, or simply lost in their own worlds. No one seemed to notice the quiet man at the piano, let alone anticipate what he was about to do. A businessman impatiently checked his watch, muttering about a late train. A student scrolled through social media, oblivious to his surroundings. A mother struggled to keep her toddler from running off. They were all too caught up in their own lives to pay attention to a stranger sitting at an old piano. The world kept spinning, unaware of the beauty that was about to unfold. Then his fingers touched the keys. At first, it was just a single note, hesitant and soft. Then another and another, slowly building into a simple melody. The tune was gentle and calming, like a lullaby. It was a stark contrast to the harsh sounds of the train station, the screeching brakes, the loudspeaker announcements, the hurried footsteps. The music was simple but pure. It spoke of peace and hope, a welcome change from the anxieties of travel. It was a fragile sound, easily lost in the noise, but it persisted. It was as if the piano itself was sighing, finally finding its voice after years of silence. A voice that was about to be heard. A few people, initially caught up in their own worlds, started to notice the music. A young boy, clutching a teddy bear, paused mid-stride, his eyes widening with curiosity. A woman talking on her phone lowered her voice, her gaze drifting towards the piano. The businessman, who had been so impatient, stopped checking his watch, his frown softening slightly. The melody, though simple, had a way of cutting through the noise and reaching something deep inside them. It was like a gentle hand, reminding them of something they had forgotten, the beauty and peace that could be found in the simplest of things. The music was a small seed planted in the midst of chaos, and it was beginning to sprout. A tired mother, her face etched with exhaustion, leaned against a pillar, listening. She had dark circles under her eyes, and her shoulders slumped with weariness. The music seemed to soothe her, a brief respite from the demands of motherhood. A young soldier, in his uniform, stood a little apart from the crowd. His eyes were distant, perhaps remembering things he'd rather forget. The melody seemed to touch a nerve, bringing a flicker of something, sadness, perhaps, or longing, to his face. A young couple, holding hands, exchanged a smile. The music seemed to amplify their happiness, a shared moment of beauty in the midst of the mundane. Each person was touched in a different way, the music resonating with their individual experiences and emotions. The sound was weaving its way into their hearts. As the music continued, it grew more complex, more emotional. The simple melody evolved into a richer, more intricate piece. The man's fingers danced across the keys, his body swaying gently with the rhythm. It was no longer just a tune, it was a story told without words. The notes climbed and fell, expressing joy, sorrow, hope, and despair. It was a reflection of the human experience, a reminder that everyone carries their own burdens and their own dreams. The music seemed to pull at the heartstrings, awakening long-dormant emotions. It was becoming harder to ignore, drawing more and more people into its spell. The station was changing. The hurried footsteps slowed, the loud conversations quieted, and all attention turned towards the piano. Flashback. A young boy, no older than 10, sat at a battered piano in a small, dimly lit room. His clothes were patched and his face was smudged with dirt. But his eyes shone with passion as he played. The music was his escape. his refuge from a difficult life. His family struggled to make ends meet, and music was the only thing that brought them joy. Years passed. The boy grew into a young man, his talent blossoming. He played in small clubs, pouring his heart and soul into every note. There were rejections and setbacks, but he never gave up. Music was his life, his purpose. Even after his success and wealth, he never forgot where he came from, or the power of music to heal and inspire. The boy is now the man at the piano. The crowd around the piano had grown considerably. People stood shoulder to shoulder, their faces turned towards the musician, their eyes reflecting the emotions of the music. Even the train station staff paused in their duties, drawn in by the captivating melody. The air crackled with a shared sense of wonder and connection. The hustle and bustle of the station had faded into the background, replaced by a collective stillness. Strangers stood together, united by the power of the music. Some closed their eyes, letting the sound wash over them. Others gazed intently at the man at the piano, trying to understand the source of his extraordinary talent. The station, once a place of hurried departures and anxious arrivals, had transformed into a sanctuary of shared emotion. Now, the millionaire played a song of overcoming. It told of rising above challenges, of holding on to hope even in the darkest of times. The melody soared, filled with a powerful, uplifting energy. It was a song of resilience, a testament to the strength of the human spirit. The music filled the station, washing away the stress and anxiety, replacing it with a sense of possibility. It spoke of finding light even when surrounded by darkness, of never giving up on dreams, no matter how difficult they may seem. It was a reminder that everyone has the power to overcome adversity and create a better future. The music resonated deeply, striking a chord with each person in the crowd, reminding them of their own struggles and triumphs. The message was clear: never give up. A small girl, no older than 7, with bright, curious eyes, approached the piano. She clutched a well-worn stuffed animal in her arms. She looked up at the man, her face filled with wonder. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small, shiny coin. Hesitantly, she walked to the piano's donation cup, a simple cardboard box placed beside the instrument. With a gentle hand, she dropped the coin into the cup. The coin made a soft tink sound as it landed. It was a small gesture, but it spoke volumes. It was a sign of appreciation, a symbol of hope, a testament to the power of music to touch even the youngest of hearts. The coin was all she had, but she offered it freely, a gift of pure, innocent gratitude. The man at the piano saw the girl's act of kindness. He paused for a fraction of a second, his fingers hovering over the keys. Then he looked at her, his eyes crinkling at the corners as he offered her a warm, genuine smile. It was a smile that reached his soul, a smile that conveyed gratitude, appreciation, and a deep understanding of the girl's simple gesture. The smile held a lifetime of stories, of struggles overcome, and of the unwavering belief in the goodness of humanity. It was a smile that said, "Thank you, and you were seen, and your kindness matters." The little girl beamed back at him, her heart filled with joy. The smile was a silent exchange, a connection forged through music and shared humanity. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated beauty. Inspired by the girl's innocence and the shared emotions of the crowd, the music swelled. The melody became more powerful, more intense. It was as if the piano itself was singing, pouring out its heart and soul. The notes cascaded over the listeners, washing away their worries and anxieties, filling them with a sense of hope and renewal. The music reached a crescendo, a peak of emotion that resonated through the entire station. It was a moment of pure, unadulterated beauty, a reminder of the power of music to connect people and to heal the soul. Every note was perfect, every chord struck with intention. The music was a force, a wave of emotion that crashed over the crowd, leaving them breathless and deeply moved. The sound reverberated within them. Tears streamed down the faces of many in the crowd. The tired mother wept openly, her shoulders shaking with emotion. The young soldier wiped his eyes, a single tear tracing a path down his cheek. Even the businessman, who had seemed so hardened and impatient, had tears glistening in his eyes. The music had broken down their walls, exposing their vulnerability and their shared humanity. It was a release, a cathartic experience that allowed them to let go of their burdens and connect with something deeper. The tears were not a sign of sadness, but of healing, of hope, and of the shared understanding that they were not alone in their struggles. The music had touched their souls, leaving an imprint that would last long after the last note faded away. Finally, the music softened, the notes fading away like a gentle breeze. The man's fingers stilled on the keys, and a hush fell over the station. The silence was profound, broken only by the occasional sniffle or the soft sigh of someone releasing a held breath. It was as if the world held its breath, savoring the last echoes of the beautiful melody. The moment hung in the air, suspended between the music that had just ended and the reality that was about to return. The spell was broken, but the memory of the music, and the emotions it had evoked, would linger. The station was forever changed, transformed by the power of a single song. The quiet was a pregnant pause. Then, slowly, hesitantly, applause began to ripple through the crowd. It started with a few claps, then grew louder and more enthusiastic, spreading like wildfire. The applause was heartfelt, genuine, a collective expression of gratitude and appreciation for the beautiful music they had just experienced. It was a thank you to the man who had touched their hearts, a recognition of the power of music to heal and to connect. The applause echoed through the station, a testament to the shared humanity that had blossomed in that moment. It was a sound that drowned out the noise of the trains, a sound that celebrated the beauty and resilience of the human spirit. A slow, heartfelt applause. Amidst the applause, a young woman holding a press badge recognized the man at the piano. She was a local news reporter, always on the lookout for a good story. She quickly pulled out her phone and started recording. She knew who he was, a famous millionaire known for his philanthropy but also for his reclusive nature. What was he doing here, playing a public piano in a train station? This was a story she couldn't pass up. She zoomed in on his face, capturing his every expression. She recorded the reactions of the crowd, the tears, the smiles, the shared sense of wonder. This was more than just a news story. It was a human story, a story of hope, of connection, of the power of music to transcend barriers. She knew this would be big. As the applause began to die down, a man stepped forward, his voice filled with genuine curiosity. "Excuse me," he said, "that was beautiful. What's your name?" The millionaire paused, a gentle smile playing on his lips. He looked at the man, then at the crowd, his eyes filled with warmth and humility. "Just a music lover," he replied softly, his voice barely audible above the remaining echoes of the applause. He didn't seek fame or recognition, he simply wanted to share his gift, to touch people's hearts with his music. His words were simple, but they resonated deeply, reinforcing the message that it's not about who you are, but about what you do and how you make others feel. His only wish was to bring joy and hope to others. Flashback. We see quick snippets of the millionaire volunteering at a soup kitchen, donating anonymously to a children's hospital and funding scholarships for underprivileged students. He never sought recognition for his good deeds, preferring to work behind the scenes, making a difference in the lives of others without expecting anything in return. His motivation was simple. He believed that everyone deserved a chance and that those who had the means should use their resources to help those in need. He understood the struggles of poverty and hardship, having experienced them firsthand. He wanted to give back to the community, to create opportunities for others, and to spread kindness and compassion wherever he went. He did this quietly, without fanfare, because it was the right thing to do. He didn't want praise or gratitude. The millionaire began to slowly rise from the piano bench, his movements unhurried and deliberate. He glanced around at the crowd, his eyes lingering on the faces that had been so moved by his music. Then, with a slight nod of his head, he began to walk away, blending back into the throng of travelers. He moved with an easy grace, disappearing into the crowd as quickly as he had appeared. It was as if he were a ghost, a fleeting presence that had touched their lives and then vanished. He didn't seek attention or accolades. His reward was the knowledge that he had made a difference, however small, in the lives of others. He became just another face in the train station. The news reporter, however, wasn't ready to let him go. She weaved her way through the crowd, determined to get a quote. She caught up to him just as he reached the edge of the platform. "Excuse me," she called out. "Sir, just one question." He turned, his expression calm and composed. "Yes?" he asked, his voice gentle. The reporter, phone still in hand, took a deep breath. "Why the piano?" she asked. "Why play here, in a train station?" She gestured around at the bustling crowds, the tired faces, the general air of stress and anxiety. She needed to understand his motivation, what drove him to share his music in this unlikely setting. She waited with bated breath. The millionaire paused, considering her question. He looked around at the bustling station, at the faces of the travelers, their expressions ranging from weary to anxious. Then he turned back to the reporter, a gentle smile gracing his lips. "Everyone deserves a little bit of beauty in their day," he said simply. His words were spoken softly, but they carried a profound weight. He believed that even in the most ordinary of places, even amidst the chaos and stress of daily life, there was room for beauty, for hope, and for connection. He wanted to offer a moment of respite, a brief escape from the grind, a reminder that there was still goodness in the world, a little bit of beauty for everyone. Just then, a woman approached them, her eyes still red from crying. She gently touched the millionaire's arm. "Thank you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "Your music, it was just what I needed. I've been having a really tough day, and it just brightened everything." She paused, searching for the right words. "It reminded me that there's still good in the world," she added, a small smile gracing her lips. The millionaire smiled back, his eyes filled with compassion. He didn't need her praise, but he appreciated her honesty, her willingness to share her feelings. He was happy to have made a positive impact on her day. He nodded gently in acknowledgement. He lowered his voice so only she could hear. "Actually," he said, "I noticed you were struggling with your luggage earlier. I quietly paid the skycap to help you with it. I hope that made things a little easier." The woman's eyes widened in surprise. She hadn't noticed anyone helping her. She had been so preoccupied with her own worries that she hadn't even seen the skycap. "Oh my goodness," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. "Thank you so much. I didn't even realize." It was a small act of kindness, easily overlooked, but it had made a world of difference to her. She knew then that this was a truly special man. The millionaire had gone out of his way. With a final, gentle smile, the millionaire turned and walked away, disappearing completely into the bustling crowd. He vanished as if he were a figment of their imagination, a dream they had all shared. The reporter watched him go, her mind racing, her phone still recording. He left behind a station transformed, a crowd touched by music and kindness, and a mystery that she was determined to unravel. He had come and gone like an angel, leaving a trail of hope and inspiration in his wake. The station was now filled with a gentle light. The memory of his performance was already becoming legendary. The millionaire was gone. The reporter stood for a moment, watching the flow of people, replaying the scene in her mind. She felt a warmth spread through her heart. It wasn't just a news story anymore, it was something more. It was a reminder of the good that existed in the world, a testament to the power of music and kindness. She knew she had to share this story, not just to reveal the millionaire's identity, but to spread the message of hope and inspiration that he had brought to the train station. She felt touched by the event. She needed to get to work. She would share his kindness with the world. She smiled. Within hours, the reporter's video went viral. People all over the world were captivated by the millionaire's performance, his humility, and his acts of kindness. The story spread like wildfire across social media, news websites, and television broadcasts. Millions watched the video, shared their own stories of hope and resilience, and expressed their gratitude for the reminder that there was still goodness in the world. The millionaire's music had transcended geographical boundaries, cultural differences, and language barriers, uniting people in a shared experience of emotion and inspiration. The internet exploded with positive comments. The world was touched. His message had spread. Inspired by his actions, people began to perform their own random acts of kindness. They helped strangers, donated to charities, and offered words of encouragement to those in need. The world seemed to be a little bit brighter, a little bit kinder, all because of the music of one man. The little girl who had given her coin to the donation cup started a kindness club at her school. The tired mother began volunteering at a local shelter. The soldier reached out to a fellow veteran in need. The young couple organized a fundraising event for a local charity. The millionaire's act of kindness had sparked a chain reaction, inspiring others to pay it forward and make a difference in their own communities. Kindness spread. The train station, once a symbol of stress and hurried departures, became a place of pilgrimage. People came from far and wide to visit the piano, to play their own music, and to share their own stories of hope and resilience. The station staff decided to honor the music lover by naming the piano after him. A small plaque was placed above the piano bearing the inscription, "The music lover's piano, may it always bring a little bit of beauty to your day." The millionaire's identity remained a secret to most, but his legacy lived on, inspiring countless others to share their gifts and spread kindness in their own way. The station had a purpose. The piano had a name. Years later, the train station still echoed with music. One day, a young woman sat down at the music lover's piano. She was nervous, her hands trembling slightly. She had never played in public before, but she felt inspired by the story of the millionaire, the music lover who had touched so many hearts. She took a deep breath and began to play. The melody was simple, but it was filled with emotion, with hope, and with a deep sense of gratitude. As the music filled the station, people paused to listen, their faces softening, their hearts opening. The cycle continued. The beauty lived on. The music played. The end. The camera pans out, showing the bustling train station now filled with a sense of warmth and connection. People are smiling, talking to each other, offering help to strangers. The music from the music lover's piano fills the air, a constant reminder of the power of kindness and the beauty of the human spirit. The story of the undercover millionaire, the music lover, had transformed the train station and the world beyond, creating a legacy of hope and inspiration that would continue to resonate for generations to come. Even though he remained anonymous, his music lived forever in the hearts of all those who had heard it. The piano played on, a beacon of hope in a busy world.